Hello and welcome to Items on, the podcast where you get to follow your favorite Melee players and personalities both on and off the sticks. I'm your host Ethiopium, and today's special guest is the one and only Druggedfox. How you doing today, homie?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, man.
Well, thanks for coming on. Usually how we start these interviews is you tell us what you were doing before you got into Melee, and how did you find the scene?
Oh, okay. So we got to go way back. I started playing when I was 12 years old. So that was 2004. 32
Okay.
now. So yeah, what I was doing before that, I mean, there are things worth saying. I must have been seventh or eighth grade. I mean, I played so many sports, I would say, before playing Melee.
Really?
Like, I think I grew up very competitive. Yeah. Every point in my life, I always tell people there was something competitive I wanted to do with my life, whether it be sports or music or, whatever it might be.
Do you,
But then
what
I found
sports were you
Melee and that
into?
was it. Mostly soccer and some basketball, but soccer especially. Like, I played from the day I could walk, I played 24/7 until I was just about done with high school, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
What position? I used to play soccer too, so I'm a little
Oh,
interested.
that's sick. I started off as a striker, and then I realized I was more of a center midfield type.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really actually reflects in how I kind of think about games and played later. Because I always like to say, like, I do the same thing in every game I play. I pretty much play the center midfield position for the game. If I'm in teams, I'm the chic player who's supporting. If I'm playing, like, I don't know, League of Legends, I'm a jungler. It's just like being that kind of supportive, involved in as many things as possible, and like trying to set things up. It's funny looking at it back now, being older.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really realize all along that like I had found my identity way back then, I think.
That's sick. Okay, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna get back to that because I think that
Yeah,
there's
we'll get back to it later.
some cool themes. But so you were playing soccer as a kid. You're having a good time. How did you like go from that to like playing Melee and putting your mind into that? Because it seems like two completely different,
Oh
parts
yeah,
of the
I mean,
world.
I mean, it was just the classic. Oh God, what my first Melee experiences were like. I guess not Melee. I played Smash 64 as a kid.
Hmm.
Many people did. And I remember I used to play Melee. Like I didn't own it, but I would play Melee at like my cousin's house and stuff like that. And it was a classic like I was always really good for someone who didn't own the game. It
Hmm.
was like, oh, I could roll up, play most people, probably win. You meet your friends in like seventh grade. They also say they're good at the game. So we were like, all right, we got to fight at some point. Yeah. So I would fight my friend Brandon, and he had me over one day, and he heard, that I thought I was hot or whatever, and we played or whatever. It was cool. But he also found this really cool video, which I'm sure everyone knows, but he found Shine Blind.
Yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
So this was, like I said, maybe December 2004 ish, like a winter break over the holidays as a kid, and we saw Shine Blind. We were playing, and we were like, all right, guess we suck. Where we didn't know how to do any of that. Then we immediately both pick Fox and start trying to shine spike each other and all that. And the rest is history, I'd say. That was like really the moment for me. It was like a very clear, like, I see this video, I meet this friend, we're playing Melee, and it's like we were both immediately like, all right, we're gonna find Smash boards, we're gonna learn all this tech, and we're gonna get good.
That's so awesome. I mean, I feel like people back in the day or people today don't realize just like how important those combo videos and like the tech
Oh, it's
skill
everything.
videos are. It was like more important than winning tournaments sometimes. It's like, yo, you were the guy who did that, or like, oh, dude, that's why I got in the scene. I hear those stories so much, so I love to
I'm
hear
sure
that
you
from
do,
you.
man. No, 100%. It was everything back then.
So then, how are you transition? Like, you see that video, you're like, bro, I gotta be this. Like, this is sick as
Yep.
hell.
Yep.
How do you find Smash boards? How do you find your first tournament? Like, what was the way that you entered actually into the scene? You know?
Man, I think just from watching the video, there's like related links and stuff. I think we just found the Smash forums pretty easily on Google or whatever. But man, it's been 20 years. Let me think. I feel like a big thing was so I was in an isolated scene. Grew up in Savannah, Georgia,
Mm,
and from 2004 until 2010, I pretty much only played with like my three buddies from Savannah.
really?
Yeah, no scene, almost no tournaments. Really just Smashboards in a dream. Just like watching videos, being like, think I could beat that guy, and that guy is like Ken or something, and I'm just like 12 years old, and I was like, I could beat it. I knew he would F smash there. Yeah, I don't know, something stupid.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, my first tournament. Technically, I think I've been playing less than a year, and I had some family in Atlanta. We would always go visit them, over the holidays. And I found out there was a tournament like 20 minutes away from there, and I'd barely been playing. And then I was like, Dad, I need you to take me. And I roll up. I'm the first person there. It's like half an hour before the TOs even show up. I'm a kid, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I remember meeting some people, and these like 18-year-olds roll up. I'm like 13 or whatever, and my dad's like, "What's going on here?" I was like, "No, I'm just gonna play the game with them." I remember sitting down, and the first three people that walked in took turns playing me, and I just like three stocked them all back to back to
Really?
back.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I was cooking them, and they were like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then I met the guy who's TOing. I met all these people, and I ended up doing okay in the tournament. It was like round robin pools. I made it out of my pool, and then in the bracket, I lost pretty quickly because it was just two characters I'd never fought before.
Mm.
I fought like a Ganon and like a Dr. Mario or a Young Link or something. And it was like, dude, I told you, I played with two people in my whole life. Like literally. We learned matchups by like playing each other's like 10th best characters.
Yeah.
That's how we learned back then. It was like, my Samus, your Ganon. Let's play because like there's no way we're going to learn the matchups otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
What made you?
yeah, I don't know if you want to say anything. I could go on forever about
No,
this,
no.
honestly.
I would just ask a question, which is like, what made you? Because you said from 2004 to 2010, you isolated in Savannah, right? Like you're not getting that many games. It's just you and the homies. What made
Yep.
you still want to continue to play the game for like 6 years without having like?
Oh, dude.
Because for me, the
Coolest game ever.
community is a game for you. I respect that.
Oh, dude, coolest game ever, man. It was the game. Yeah, like, I mean, I get you about the community, and I've learned to love that, once I had the opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no choice. Like, it was either have my parents drive me 4 to 5 hours to a tournament or wait till I got to college. There was no in between. Um, and we made the trek up once. So I told you about my first tournament.
Yeah.
And then once I had played for more than like a little over a year or something on our own, I'd played for a couple of years, maybe around 2007 or something.
Mm-hmm.
We convinced our parents to do like one road trip up to Atlanta. It was the one road trip. That was the story back then. You could not imagine the shit talk on Smash boards. We were like, we're coming, we're gonna beat you guys up. And they're like, oh, some kids in their scene think they're good or whatever. And we're like, no, we're good for real. We promise. And we're like 15 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And not all the heavy hitters were at that tournament. It was like a charity tournament called Laser for the Children too.
Mm.
And that was like my first like tournament I like went to for real, for real. Like I'd been playing, I grinded, I had like a style, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was awesome. I went with my friends and we made an impact. I got second at the tournament. My
Okay.
buddy, yeah,
Cooked.
yeah, I was
You
cooking.
cooked, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I got second. My friend got third.
All
We got
right.
second and third. He had like the way harder bracket run than me. Like just the way it worked out. I like didn't have to beat anyone good, and I ended up in finals.
Yeah.
And then he beat like half the PR. Like he was sick. His name's Brandon. Yeah, he beat like half the PR. He was super technical. At the time, I remember. You remember? I don't know how much you know about the old days, but like I remember seeing Bomb Soldier like shine up B off the top for the first time. Right?
Yeah. The dude, legend. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. My friend, the week before that video came out, I saw him shine up B for the first time.
Really?
And I remember. And then we went to that tournament, and he money matches like a Marth on the PR. And he opens a Yoshi Story game with a 0 to death and a shine up B off the top. And every person watching was like, who is this fucking 15-year-old kid, And that was my friend.
What was his tag?
So yeah, like, Articanus.
Word. Shout out.
Yeah,
It's like Tesla and Edison. Like he was doing it before it really came out.
Oh, dude, he was doing it way before. He was the GOAT, man. He ended up quitting later, but he's really good. And that was like my main training partner. And like I said, we got second and third. I had to beat him in losers finals. I got really lucky to beat him, I think.
Yeah.
Like he SD'd or something. And then I got 6-0'd by someone who could wave dash out of shield and forward smash. And I remember going home and being like, yo, we got to get on this, man. They wave dash out of shield out here. And I was like, we don't do that. And he just, I would jump above him with Falco. He would wave dash the other way and tip for me. Like I literally remember.
Yeah.
I was like, this is tech. Like I didn't know about that back then.
Dude, respect that you're like, yo, this is tech, this is sick, instead of being like, man, he just forward smashed me.
No, he was so smart, man.
I see like, you. It had a plan.
No, I really felt it. I was like, damn, you could be so good. And it was so, it was simultaneously humbling and motivating because I was like, man, I knew I wasn't whack for thinking I was good. I was like, all this effort, I got second at the tournament. I knew I was good, but I was also like, wow, this guy's not even like he's not like a pro like Ken or Asin or something, and he still watched me. So I was like, all right, I can do it, but I got some work to do.
Yeah. Do you enjoy that part of the game where it's like you always have something to improve on, you always have the next step? Do you enjoy like having levels to it, or does it frustrate you sometimes? I feel like because it could
I
go
don't think
both
it's
ways.
I get you. I don't think it's ever frustrated me.
Yeah.
I would be more frustrated if I didn't have things to work on, honestly.
I
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got a
yeah,
question with what you said too earlier, which is when I asked you like what kept you going for 6 years, you just said the game. The game is the
yeah.
best game ever. Give me some specifics. Like what specifically in the game really draws, yourself to it? Because there's so much,
Mm,
there's so much you could say, but what do you think specifically for you makes the game so beautiful?
that's a wonderful question, man. Uh, I think I kind of got two answers. I
Mhm.
think as a kid, it was just like I could do so much. There were so many things to try. There's like I could double shine. I could short hop laser. I could short hop double laser. I could ledge dash. I could see what this guy online said about what I should do here. And I was like, damn, I should try that. Like, there was just so much. It just felt like never ending?
Mhm.
And I think with like, bringing it back to like sports or something, I think with a lot of things, I'm a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just do things. Like, I'm just playing sports. I'm not like, I don't have any deep thoughts about strategy or meta. It's just like talent and physicality. And you just go out there and you play,
Mhm.
right? But I think Melee was maybe the first time that I got to combine my like any sort of academic intelligence with like physicality and like talent and like doing things. Those were always very separate worlds for me. It was like, I'm in school. School was easy for me. I was like, yep, I'm doing math like a fucking genius. I'm doing everything. This is awesome. And then here's this thing I'm doing with sports, and it's like, oh, I get to do.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like thinking when I was doing sports. And when I was doing like school stuff, I wasn't like, I don't know, like doing something in the same way you are with the sport. And I think Melee hit that perfect sweet spot where I was like, man, it's very technical. I feel like I'm really doing something, but I got to think about it. And I feel like I just never knew how to do that with the sport. I always actually think back and I'm like, man, I wish like an adult in my life like told me something intelligent about the things I was doing. I don't know if that
Mm.
makes sense, but like
I
it's not like
do.
the coaches they're not trying to break it down for 12-year-olds, or 15
Yeah.
year olds. They're like, oh, go get out there. And then it's only once you become like really like elite, like a collegiate or professional level, do they try to make you think about strategy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like for real. They're just like, yeah, run this play we told you to do. We're not gonna talk about why. We're not gonna talk about this. In Melee, I was like, oh, I can like think and figure things out and be creative.
That's interesting to me. Do you feel like Melee allowed you to develop that part where you can connect the physical and to that mental state? Like for example, with me in sports, like I'm a big basketball fan. For example, I don't play basketball personally, right? Other than in the park poorly, but like to me it used to be when I was a kid I'd watch basketball and I'd be so amazed, but there was no really any strategy. It was just like Kobe Bryant scoring all these points or whatever.
Yeah, he's so sick.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
now as I grow, and I think Melee has helped me realize too, like, oh, like they run this whole play so that he can get this position where he knows that he's gonna make this shot like 65, 70% of the time, like getting
yeah,
that
yeah,
one on
yeah.
one. Do you feel like Melee was the door that opened so that you can realize the type of things outside of Melee as well?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. It was the first time, I mean, I thought about any of it. So, yeah, I would say yes. And like I said, growing up, I kind of wish people had made other parts of my life more like that. Because clearly I thought it was cool. I just feel like there's this attitude that, like, I don't know, kids can't, like, think or figure things out or something. I don't know. It's something whack where it's like, dude, if you had explained what you just explained about Kobe Bryant to me when I was playing basketball, I would have been like, oh, I'm going to think about mismatches. I'm going to think about my personal skill set. I'm going to think about where on the floor I got the hottest shot. I didn't think about anything. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, I'm going to learn how to dribble and pass the ball and, let talent carry it from there wherever that takes me. But I wish it wasn't like that.
I
And
have
Melee was like that, and that was really, really cool, I think.
I have a teaching question before we move on a little bit
Yeah,
with your
sure, sure.
career. As people know, you're a fantastic coach, a high level
Thank you.
coach. Um, as someone who is a great teacher, how do you balance, having that tactical side of things without trying to overthink, I guess, in gameplay? I'm sure that you have a lot of people who might not think about the tactical side enough when you coach them. Maybe you have some people who are thinking about it too much when you coach them.
Sure.
Where do you find that balance, and how did you find it in your career?
Well, I think when teaching people, I probably take a pretty different approach than most people.
Mm.
Um, and this is where I'm glad you said teaching, because I kind of feel like people use the word coaching a lot. And this isn't a strict thing, it's semantics, but this is just kind of a personal take that, like, kind of what you described is like, all right, someone's in a tournament and I need them to be in the right mental space to balance that. I kind of view that as like coaching them.
Mm-hmm.
This is just like a personal semantics thing. But when I view like teaching them for something like that issue, I view it as something completely different. I would almost say I kind of ignore that problem from a teaching perspective and focus more on like, how do we get you to think about the whole game properly in the first place? Does that kind of make sense?
That does. Yeah.
It,
I like
cool.
that framing. I like that framing.
I'm glad. Yeah, it's like when I teach someone, I want them to so fundamentally and foundationally view the game differently than they currently do that that will not even be a problem for them at the end of it. That's the goal. But that's like a very long-term thing. That requires a lot of time, a lot of rebuilding, a lot of reframing. But if my homie messages me mid-tournament and he's like, "Man, I got to fight this Peach player," and I'm kind of trying to decide what do I focus on, like, of course not. I'm not going to bring all that to the table.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be like, "Okay, this is what you do." Like back when mid tournament coaching was more common back in the day. There were no rules.
Yeah.
I'll never forget I have one friend, he was a Fox player, and he had to fight Hungrybox in a tournament set.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good versus Puff. Like I was like he could probably beat Hungrybox. And I was like, okay, what do I tell this guy after game one? I only gave him one piece of advice. I said, next time you knock him down, make sure just one time in the set you up smash him for tech rolling in. Because you're not covering it, and save it for one time it's going to get you a kill.
Mm.
And he took game 2 on Yoshi's story by doing that. And it's like, that's the advice you give someone for a tournament. You do not give them any, like, they know how to play the game. You're not going to change how they play the game in that tournament set.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, if we're talking later, in terms of balancing what you said about this tactical stuff versus like kind of not really thinking about it too much, it's like, I'm not even thinking about it that way. I'm just like, okay, we got to talk the whole thing new. It's like, how are you thinking about the matchup? How are you thinking about the positions? Like, we're not even going to talk about that at all. Do you kind of see what I mean?
Definitely. We'll touch on that a little bit later because I want to hear your thoughts on that a little bit. But I want to move on with your career a little bit. So we went through to around 2010. You said you weren't getting that many games. What changed then? Was it 2010 or 2011 where did you like move or did you go to college or something?
College. College started. I went to, so pretty much I had that 2005-ish experience I told you about. 2007, we went up to a tournament. The Atlanta scene, they drove a car down to us one time to play a tournament in between, which was very, very kind of them.
That's sick.
They didn't have to drive down and play with a bunch of fucking 15-year-olds or whatever, but they did, and shout outs to them for that. And that was it. Then summer of 2010, I went to the first CEO ever, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It was the first CEO ever. I fucking love CEO. Lots of memories there. And that was like really the start. It's like summer, hit CEO, go to college at Georgia Tech in Atlanta, fall of 2010. First thing I do, I start going to tournaments. I start meeting the scene, like, constantly. I have people over to my dorm. Like, that was it. That was the moment where everything started.
Did you like try to diversify stuff when you were in college where you're like, oh, I'm gonna go try this, go try that, or were you just all into Melee? You're like, all right, let's go.
It was all Melee, man. I've been waiting it felt like my whole life.
Yeah.
I've been waiting. You gotta imagine, from 2004 December to September of 2010, the only thing that wasn't like fulfilled in my life was in some way was Melee. Like, school, I was doing sports, I was playing piano, I was doing my thing.
Yeah.
But Melee was just this huge thing of I have practiced for 5 years, 6 years, and I have nothing to do with it. So yeah, the moment I got to college, it was like every tournament I could find, every Smash Fest I could find. I had people over, like, it was everything.
That's awesome. I love that. I think that's awesome. I think that's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you. No, I mean you nailed it with that question. I don't think I didn't see a club. I didn't like maybe one or two times, man. And all, but you people get to college. I mean, exactly what you said, but no, not for me. Not for me.
Well, I want to ask you about that. There's a lot of players who find the scene through college. I was one of them, right? Like, what were some of the lessons that you learned in such an important developmental part of your life through Melee?
In terms of melee lessons or out of melee
I
lessons?
mean, either. I mean, I'm sure your game leveled up
Mhm.
during that time, but like, I feel like some of the lessons that you might have taken now in your later years are probably more important than
From
just
there.
like tech chasing or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Definitely. No,
Tech
I
chasing is
mean
pretty
definitely.
important, but
I mean it did change my life that I tech chase, you know?
yeah, that's true. That
It
is
did
true.
change my life, but man, I mean, I wish I could give you a great answer. I feel like that time period is such a it's a blur in a lot of ways because I feel like it was such a I mean, really it was a whirlwind of just events. I wish I could I don't even know if I ever truly reflected on it because it was just always go 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 go. I didn't have time between school and personal stuff. Like I'll say in college, I was not a very happy person for a variety of reasons.
Mm.
So I feel like between not being that happy and then simultaneously trying to make melee work, it was I don't even know where my head was at in a lot of ways. I guess I could say I mean I learned a lot about just I don't know, the world around me, I guess, more than myself.
Hmm.
I felt like I always kind of knew. Like I said, I think I found who I was earlier than most people do.
Hmm.
So college was not really an experience for that. Like I said, from the moment I picked center midfield, I knew who I was as a human being.
I got you.
Yeah, really, I think I knew myself. But I think I learned a lot about where I was as a person relative to the world around me, how to interact with the world, what other people want out of their lives. It's definitely a moment where you're like, well, obviously everyone's different, but it really hits that I would say college in general and meeting the scene and stuff, it's you see people go through all sorts of different things and express themselves differently. And I think that was probably the biggest thing that I came to terms with, as opposed to a big I found myself moment or something. More like I found the world around me and what it means to be a person in that world probably changed a little bit.
That's beautiful too. I respect that answer a lot.
Yeah, I
Uh,
appreciate it.
I want to ask you something then in terms of melee when you made this change, which is you went from not playing a lot of tournaments to playing. It seems like all the time,
Yep.
competing all the time. Did that like change your outlook or perspective on how to get better? Did you have to like change some stuff up? What was sort of your mindset through that time where now you have a plethora of tournaments to go to and smash
Mm-hmm.
fests?
Well, I think there's kind of two big divides. I would say in college, it didn't change much for me, and that
Mm.
was probably not a good thing. It
What?
probably
Why?
should have changed more. Well, just I should have taken more from those experiences.
Got you. Okay.
But I think I was so again, I had never played in any tournaments really. So I think it was so much I was just trying to get my kind of my foot in the door.
Mm.
I was just trying to even experience it, which was really valuable. But I think it was hard for me to have real takeaways because I was just oh, I'm nervous today. Oh, there's a matchup I've never played. Oh, I have to deal with my controller breaking mid tournament. I kind of got a lot of the firsts out of the way, I would say. I didn't really get to consciously interact with it till probably we'll get to it later on, I assume. But once I started really going to tournaments again in 2015,
Hmm.
that's when I started okay, I need to change some things. But I'd say that collegiate period was more I've never even encountered any of these things. I was just a baby, pretty much, as far as all that stuff went. So that was really valuable for me. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, no. I
Yeah,
love that answer too. I mean, I'm enjoying this a lot. I want to ask you about the Georgia scene. You grew up in Savannah, like you said. You went to Georgia
yep,
Tech. That's in Atlanta, right?
yep, yep. It's in Atlanta.
Can you describe a little bit of what that scene was like during that time period?
Oh, it was so awesome, man. I have nothing but love for the Georgia scene. I've always said, one of the best scenes in the world. Love them. Really welcoming, really competitive, wide variety of personalities. I always used to say the Georgia scene was one of the only scenes I really felt like people who went 0-2 and people who won tournaments were always hanging out. There was
Mm-hmm.
no like any divide between anything. It was just a bunch of like I don't know, bunch of amazing people. I have nothing to say about it besides that I loved it. It definitely was a big part of my life. Uh, every now and then I see some of those people like 10 years later at like a random event. It's always like, man, all I can say is I hope they're doing well. Like I kind of have that love in my heart for them.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, everyone was just really close. We would just all go to the same tournaments. We'd all hang out. Everyone was cool with each other. There was really no like drama to speak of. It was a really positive experience as a scene, I would say. Um,
That's awesome. Who are some of
yeah.
the people in the scene that you say like, oh, I got love for them? Like you want to shout out a couple people that you think
Oh
were important
man,
to
I
you in
mean,
Georgia?
I'll feel bad because if there's anyone I don't shout out, I'll be sad. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on, man. I mean, I had the people I hung out with I mean, when I first got to college, there's the people who were like the part of the Georgia Tech scene. I mean, Georgia Tech scene was like me, Juan, Austin Birch, Kevin Pan, RJ, I mean, Lewis, the list goes on and on. All of my boys back in Georgia Tech. But then there's also like the scene itself. I don't know if people know these guys, but there's Flamin' Roy and Nika Boy, and then like kind of people I hadn't beaten in tournament. There was like Ziff and Chad, and I mean, there was T-Bag. I mean, I could literally list forever.
Yeah.
Like anyone who I haven't named, don't worry. That I could literally sit here for 30 minutes telling you every single person who was at those tournaments who like had an impact on me. And I can't even begin to pick who to shout out or whatever, man. It was just all amazing. Just like they were all a part of me. They're still a part of me. I remember all the moments. Like yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about that.
That's awesome. Shout out Ziff, man. He was
Oh,
gonna
dude,
host
Jeff.
us for that tournament. Some of the Michigan homies for the doubles tournament that was gonna go down.
Oh, dude,
But
that'd be sick.
but it got
That's
shut down.
definitely,
But
I would have gone to that. I would have gone to that. I love double so much.
yeah, I'm glad it's sort of coming back a little bit. People are realizing like, nah, this was flames. Like we need
Oh,
them
dude, it
back.
was kind of was dying for a bit. I was sad about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's so sick, man. That like that you make all these connections. I feel like the common thread in all of my interviews that I've done, and I've gotten to interview like just a wide range of people now. The common thread is just like there's always people through this game that we find that are just gonna be in your heart forever, and I just love that. It's such a I'm just
It's
so
beautiful.
grateful to like be a part of that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I get it completely, man.
Let's talk a little bit about 2015 then, because that's when it sort of turned up for you. I feel like
Yep.
when
Yep.
you look
Yep.
at tournament places and stuff like that. You mentioned a little bit about how you realized that some things needed to change when you started in 2015. What
Yep.
were those things that you identified, and how did you go about changing them to get those better results?
That's a great question. There's a lot going on there because I guess to briefly go over that 2010 to 2015 period, I would say that relevant context is so I'm in college. I entered a lot of tournaments, but I guess a lot of people probably don't know, but like Marvel 3 came out shortly during that time period.
Word.
And low key, like I kind of quit. Like a lot of people who got to the Georgia Tech scene later were like, "Oh yeah, we keep hearing about the Sammy guy, but he doesn't even play anymore." So like low key from 2010 to 2014, I probably only played for about half that time period, and I played a lot of Marvel 3. I was dealing with college. Like I said, I was kind of depressed in general. So like the big thing going into 2015 contextually was so December of 2014, I graduate college, and I was like, okay, I'm done with college. I'm not playing any Marvel. And just like from that 2004 to 2010 period, there was this kind of unfulfilled part of me for Melee. I would say that was equally unmatched and unfulfilled from 2010 to 2014. Of like, I only went to like two majors in that time period ever. I went to Round 3 in Apex 2012, and that was it. Did pretty well at both for never having gone to a major. I didn't get to play top players. I didn't really get to improve the way I wanted to. So 2015 came, and I was like, this is it for real this time. I'm like, not playing other games. I'm done with school. I'm not as depressed. Nothing is stopping me from like actually doing it, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was the biggest. I guess I kind of wanted to provide context before I answer your question about what
No,
changed because
please.
like
Yeah, that was helpful.
Cool. Yeah, it was huge. Like this was like the moment from when I was 12 until now. Like you gotta see the vision of like it has been 10 years, right? It's been 10 years, and this is my moment. I've been playing this game. People think I'm way overrated. Like I keep telling people, like people will say, "Oh no, Sammy's really good," and it's like, "Nah, this guy sucks." Whatever. Because I was big on Smash Bros back in the day. I would like talk about how I felt about the game. I would talk about like my what I thought people could do, and I'd be like, "Oh, all these top players are doing it wrong," and like you could be so much better. And they're like, "Yeah, shut up, nerd." Right? That was pretty much the vibe back then. So 2015 was my chance to like prove myself, prove myself really meant what I think about the game. It meant getting to travel and meet a lot of these other good players for the first time, that I'd heard of and they'd heard of me, but I'd never like played any of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just entering that whole field was just like that was like huge for me. It was a huge moment. Um, and I guess what changed the most is I had to learn how to be a real competitor in tournament, like for real, and address all the many things that, like I said, that collegiate period I experienced a lot of it, but I wasn't able to fix a lot of it for a lot of reasons. And then 2015 was my first chance to be like, all right, time to tackle these problems and figure out why I suck pretty much.
Yeah. You make a interesting point, which is like being like competing for real now, which is funny because like to someone on the outside they see you like play tournaments for like 3-4 years now, and they're like, what do you mean for real? Like you've been doing this all the time. You are for
Yep.
real, but it really is like a mental like I would say like a commitment almost, where it's like I'm going to, at least for me personally, I feel like you have to really dive in head first and like really put yourself on the limit, especially your
Yep.
ego. I mean, what were some of the things that you struggled with when you like became like a true competitor that you had to break through around that 2015 period? Anything specific?
Yeah, lots of specifics. Well, one, I feel like this is kind of not for me, but it was for the people around me. I think I didn't realize how important support was.
Mm,
Um, I had a
that's
friend
really
group
interesting.
that always clowned on me 24/7, pretty
Yeah.
much. If I went to a tournament, I haven't been to a tournament in months, right? Because like I'm playing Marvel, I'm doing whatever. I go to a tournament and then I lose to like someone at the tournament. I get second. I beat like everyone there and I lose to one matchup I don't know. No one's like, I had never heard anyone be like good shit for getting second at the tournament. It was always like, you lost to that guy? Fraud. You lost to this character? Gensdorf? Seven? Nah, like, I knew you weren't good, man. And
Hmm.
it was all for fun, but it was the same in Marvel as well. Like, people would just clown on me. It was like, Marvel 3, I like remember I told everyone I was gonna beat Chris G. I beat him. Everyone was hyped for me for about a day. One day. Next day, back. It was back. All my boys like, man, I heard you lost to Eddie that tournament. And it's like, what? Hey, give me something. Nope. Never. So I think 2015 came around. First thing I think and with the help of talking to a lot of people, shout outs to Chi. He's from North Carolina. I remember talking to him a lot about my mentality back at that point in time. It was just like, yeah, maybe I need some support. I need to ask my friends for support. I need to not have people. And I never took it personally up till that point. It didn't bother me. But kind of the fact that it didn't bother me is what I realized later. I was like, maybe it would be nice if people like were nice to me a little
Yeah.
bit. I just didn't care, like legitimately. And I think that was a huge moment for me. Like I never like been in that environment where I'm going to tournaments and like I gotta play these out of state people and then like I need to have my friends, have my back. Like it sounds so obvious, but I just didn't value that or think it mattered.
Mm.
Kind of what I told you earlier about like kind of seeing how I relate to the world around me and how it relates to me. I just viewed myself as my own like person. Like it didn't really matter how other people were connecting to me in that way. And under the stress that is going to a big tournament, I realized that that did matter to me a lot. Which it sounds so human, right? But like I don't know, kind of growing up, I didn't really feel like a human in the way other people did. I didn't really feel like, oh, I need this connection. I was like, yeah, I'll do my thing.
Yeah. No, that's
And
I.
it made
Go ahead.
yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
No. You go.
I was
You
gonna
go.
say that's like a really really incredible like insight to get through melee. I really like respect that answer a lot, because I feel like Yeah, it's funny because you say like, "Oh, it seems so obvious," but you don't really understand it. And I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat where they just haven't really like put that to themselves. Where they know like a guy like LeBron isn't around guys who are like, "Bro, you suck," Jordan's better
Yeah,
or what, right?
yeah.
He's probably around guys who are like, "That's LeBron James. He's gonna score
No,
40 on you,"
literally,
and it helps,
literally.
right? Like that positive mental influence, I'm sure helps in competing. But it's
No, it
interesting
does.
that like you have to learn that through trial and tribulation, you know?
Oh, I did have to learn that. And people like you. I mean, I'm sure people should talk LeBron too, but at the end of the day, it's all love,
Yeah.
right? But if you're getting more of the shit talk than the love, then at some point you start to be like, I mean, it doesn't even that it's not even that it gets to you, but it's like you need that positive energy too.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't want like someone just like fluffing your ear the whole time, but like you want,
No.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but you need some of that positivity. Well,
Absolutely.
I
So
want I
yeah. Go
wanted to
ahead.
talk a little bit too because I remember, so I got around the scene around like 2014, 2015, and I
Okay.
remember watching you play. I remember your tipped off, I think 11 run where you went
Mm-hmm.
on that nasty losers run. I mean, look up that run, y'all. Some killers on that run. It was crazy. I think you got knocked out by ice climbers. We won't
Yeah,
even
Jay.
mention
Shout
that.
outs to Drunk Ball. No, no, shout outs to Jay. That he's awesome. I love Jay.
Respect,
I
dude.
remember he beat me and he looked at me. He almost said sorry. Just like I was supposed to be the better player, but like I was like, nah, man, you I remember I was like, nah, you got it. I just gotta make the run now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, now that Wobbling's gone, I'm an Ices fan. I love Ices. Now that it's
That's very
gone.
funny.
But anyway, so that run was crazy. And I remember I stumbled on, I think it was your blog. It was like portraits in Melee or
Yeah, Portrait and Smash.
Portraits in
Yeah.
Smash, and you were breaking down really these like specific scenarios of like, hey, this is when X happens, like I'm doing this, like this is some of the stuff that I'm testing with some of the homies, like,
Yep,
oh,
yep.
I've been talking, and it so go check that out if it's still up too.
It
But
is, it is.
it gave me an insight a little bit into like how you thought about the game, and I think at that point it wasn't the main way that people think about the game. I feel like, and now I think with more of the technology that's come in, it's more recognized. Do you
Yep,
feel
I
like
agree.
you were sort of like a pioneer? Do you feel like you were sort of cutting edge in some of the work that you did around that time?
I mean, I'd be a liar if I said no. I mean, with the most amount of humility possible, I have to say, like, no one was doing it like that at the time.
Yeah.
And if you look at modern day melee, I mean, I feel like I don't I don't know how to put this, but it's like the invisible force that was Sammy from back then is like everywhere. Every set you watch, every player how they play now, there is like an amount of it that was like, yep, that was me back then coming into the game now.
Yeah.
And I mean I take a lot of pride in that. And I mean, if I look back to me, as a kid, and I told you like all those Smash Bros days and stuff and like what I want out of the game, the fact that I can say in the year 2025 that you watch any set and it's like you can see the Sammy in the set, I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more than that. That is the best thing I could have gotten out of Melee.
Well, first off, you don't have to be humble because I totally agree. I respect the humility though. I really do respect it. But yeah, 100%. That's why I wanted to interview you, to be real. But what was I gonna say? One thing that I wanted to ask you though, because you said it's if I look back on it, kid Sammy would be like, this is insane, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're also a competitor though. Like you said, like growing up, I knew like I like to compete.
Yep.
What was more important to you then? Do you feel like was it winning those tournaments? Was it your influence in the game? Is it a combination of both? Because you can't really have one without the other. Like,
That's true. Uh, Great question again, man. I think I have a pretty good answer though. I've reflected on it a lot in my retirement.
mm-hmm.
It's something that I have the mental space to think about now that I don't compete. Um, I think I can give you a pretty clear breakdown, honestly. Apex 2012, I think, was the last time I ever wanted to be the best in the world at Melee. I remember
2012?
it was, yeah, Apex 2012,
Okay.
last time I ever wanted to be the best. I remember entering, it was my second real major, and I remember going home, playing a bunch of Marvel 3 later, and I remember just like, I just really wanted to experience what it was like to play all the good people, right? And I think after I got to do it, I had a realization that being the best was just what everyone said they wanted to do. But I was just being like them. But then once I played everyone, I was like, no, I just care about the game and playing everyone. Like I don't like I love competing. And you sit me down on a setup with any other person, I don't care who they are. I want to win more than anything
Mm.
versus that person on a random set. But if you told me what does it mean to be the best, like I didn't really care. Now, do I want to beat Armada's ass in friendlies? 100%. But does me beating him make me number one or something? No, it doesn't, right? So it's like I think that was big for me that once I got to play a bunch of people, I realized that's what I cared about more. So I feel like I'm a very competitive person, but I don't know if melee is the thing for me in terms of like the competitive format.
Mm.
Like, I mean, there's no real way to determine who's the best, right?
Yeah.
Tournaments are just like, well, this is what we agree on, right? Is, oh, this is what makes you the best. But it's like, I mean, I'll give you an easy example. Like, Hungrybox won last Genesis, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of discourse about, oh, he hasn't won a major in 2 years or something, right? And he's all hype about it, and I'm glad he's hype about it. But if it were me, I wouldn't be hyped because I'd be like, my run was just beating the same people I always beat. I did not beat anyone I don't normally beat, so why does it matter that I won the major? Do you get what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
This is just me personally. Now, part of what makes him one of the GOATs is that he's hype about that shit.
Yeah. It
He's like,
drives
I
him.
can still do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it drives him.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of what makes him one of the GOATs of Melee, is that him winning Genesis after those 2 years drives him, and it makes him feel like it was worth it. For me, if you put me in his shoes right now, I'd be like, oh, I beat Wizzy and Triff. Like, I would have done that 2 years ago, too. Like, it doesn't change anything for me.
Mm.
And I think that says a lot about what it means to be the best, to win tournaments, to like, what are these formats? Does double elimination matter more than single? Why not triple elimination? Why do we have 4 stocks? Is 8 minutes good? Should wobbling be in the game? I mean, what if I fight someone on a box? Like, what does all of this mean, right?
Yeah.
And it's like tournaments are just us agreeing that we're gonna ignore all those variables because they're too hard to agree upon, and we're just gonna call whoever wins enough of these the best. And I think I realized that that didn't matter to me literally at all.
Mm.
And that was like a very big moment for me that like I think I realized I'm very competitive and I care a lot about influencing the game. But I don't care about being what other people call the best. And quite frankly, I think not caring about that is part of why I didn't do better in my career than I did. Because no matter how hard I tried to convince myself that I cared about it, I just didn't. Like, I literally just don't. And I think stepping away from it after all this time is just, I could not be more clear in my mind that it's not that important to me.
I got a question for you then. So it's interesting because I've heard like a similar response from some other people,
Sure.
but what was different from your response is that they said that allowing them to let go of this idea and this notion of like being the best is the goal and the objective allowed them to become actually better players. Whereas you said it actually probably hampered me in my career placings. What's the difference there? I mean, why?
The difference is that no, I totally get you. The difference is very clear to me. It's that I was always a play to improve guy from the day I started the game.
Yeah.
There's no other way to play when you're playing for 6 years with 3 other people and no tournaments.
Yeah.
There's nothing else but love of the game and improving, right? So I've just never been that person. So for me, for other people, they have to learn that that's what matters. But for me, that was just my whole life already. And what I needed to learn was how to have that drive to like do something with it. That like it like I have to win the tournament no matter what. It doesn't matter what it means, you know? But I just cared a lot about what it meant. And I feel like quite frankly, a lot of the times the people who aren't the best, they don't care about all the details. They care about being the guy at the top at the end of all the battling. And I respect that greatly. It's a huge skill.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know if it's me.
No,
But that doesn't mean I don't love competition, you know? I just love competition in what I perceive to be a different way.
No, I totally understand that. I would like to actually to explain it more because I think it's a very important distinction between competing and trying to like and winning, I guess.
Sure.
Because the point, like you said, like you want to win the tournament. Obviously, if you're playing friendlies, you want to win the friendlies. Like you want to win. That is a driving force. But but for you, I feel like I don't know. Like, I'll let you explain it. Like, how do you
Sure.
differentiate like trying to be the best, trying to win versus like the act of actually competing?
Um, I think it's a lot about winning regardless of the conditions, probably,
Mm-hmm.
is the main difference. I mean, tournaments are environments where you have to go sleep somewhere you don't normally sleep, wake up when you don't normally wake up, not have the food you regularly eat available. You have to sit at a venue with a lot of people all day. The CRT could suck, the audio could suck. You might not be able to focus because of the crowd. And what it means to be the best is to win anywhere and have none of that stuff matter. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's to roll up to a set you don't want to play. I mean, to be blunt, it's like you got to roll up to a set and get news that your grandfather just passed away, and you have to be like, "Well, I'm gonna win the tournament anyway."
Yeah.
And you have to be able to do that. You have to be going through the worst breakup of your life, and you got to lock in and beat some floaty player who wants to time you out.
Yeah.
You gotta do that.
Yeah.
Like that's what it means. You
Yeah.
gotta sit down and lock the fuck in. And that's a difference. Like it's winning when it counts because we decided it counted.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if I sit down and play friendlies, I want to beat the other guy. They might not be trying, I might not be trying. Maybe we're both trying. Maybe I'm having an off day, so maybe I try less hard because I'm having an off day because I can afford to because it's a friendly. Who knows? Tournaments are just where we say, no matter what, this one counts. And I don't know, being good at that is a completely different skill. And obviously, like I'm not bad at it to have been like at the skill level that I was, like I was a high ranked player, but you could always get better at it. And it could always matter to you more. And like, I don't know. I mean, that's just to do you kind of see that
Definitely.
to me these are very different things on a fundamental level.
No, I
Um,
definitely see the separation. I love it. I think it's
yeah.
very very cool way of framing things. So I want to ask you another question then. It allows me a lot of
Yeah, keep
question
asking.
asking.
I'm glad.
So you said from an early age then you knew I'm a play to improve guy. A lot of
Yep.
people mark their improvement through tournaments. Like, oh, I used to be a 1 and 2er, now I'm a 3 and 2er. Oh, I never
Sure,
got out of
sure.
pools, now I'm out of pools. How do you mark your improvement?
I think just doing things better that I didn't do before and not doing things worse that I did bad before. Or like very it's just like, hey, I didn't ledge dash last year. I ledge dash this year, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I hit more up throw combos today than I usually do. Like stuff like that. I mean, I truly believe that it's pretty much it's not one to one with winning, but it's like 80% of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like 80% of being better at winning and having the results is like if you're doing the things in the game that you should be, you're improving and you're doing better. Now I will say, sometimes doing those things better doesn't always immediately result in a better performance.
Definitely.
And sometimes there's that last bit where you have to tweak some things. You have to be like, all right, well, how come I'm hitting more combos and I'm hitting my ledge dashes and I'm not winning versus this guy anymore? And that's where you might have to delve into and be like, oh, I see. There's this one other thing I didn't work on that was important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it gets harder for someone who's just like playing to do what they want. Because I truly believe I've actually been talking about this with a lot of people lately, but I truly think most people just plateau because they stop finding things that they find interesting. They've run out of them or they're not important anymore.
Mm.
It's like you finally got look. I like my up throw combos. I like my ledge dashes. Right? Did you notice I didn't talk about what to do when the peach is shield camping me in the corner? There's a reason that I didn't talk about getting better at that because that wasn't something I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
So even now, after all these years, if you ask me, oh, what does it mean to improve? I list all the things I think are fun and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of don't naturally list certain things. You know why? I don't find them as interesting. Maybe if I found them more interesting, I'd win more. Do you kind of see what I mean?
Definitely. Do
So
you?
there is some. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask. Do you, as a coach, who are you coach a lot of different levels of players, but you do definitely coach like some of the best players, right? Whose
Yep.
goal is to win, right?
Yep. 100%.
How do you teach then learning to love those paths to improvement when it might be something like in a matchup that they hate or
Yeah.
playing against a
Yeah.
player that they hate?
I mean, a lot of it is just reframing. That's usually the trick you use. I always say that the last thing I want someone to do is lie to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think valuing honesty with yourself is one of my most core values, being true to yourself. But you can reframe something without being a lie, you know? So, like, I'll give you a classic reframing I had to do in tournament. This also kind of calls back to your question about what did I have to learn once I started going to these tournaments. This is one of the great answers is like, all right, so when I mess up a ledge dash and I tournament winner, my opponent hits me out of it. It's easy to be pissed off about it because, you know, if you're in range to hit a tournament winner, you're probably low-key disrespecting the ledge dash, right?
Yeah.
Classic melee situation. How do I reframe that? How do I make it so that it doesn't piss me off when Axe nares me out of my tournament winner, let's say?
Yeah.
This happened to me. I remember being like, man, this bitch nared me out of my tournament winner. I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
Like, how do I reframe that? And one way that I reframed it that I felt was true to myself was I was like, okay, Sammy, do you think you're good at ledge dashing or not? Like, be real with yourself. And I was like, yeah, I'm one of the goats at ledge dashing. I was like, okay, if you truly believe that, then isn't it amazing that versus someone who's that good at ledge dashing, Axe picked the right time to know that you would mess up?
Mm.
And I was like, look, I got to be objective. Either I'm good at this or I'm not. If I'm not good at it, then why am I mad? I should go get good at it. And if I'm good at it and he's still finding the times to get me, like, I got to respect that, you know? And that was a powerful reframing for me that helped me be a better tournament player. Because instead of being annoyed that something happened, I could genuinely say good shit to him because it came from a place of believing in myself.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Believing in my own skill allowed me to give more props to my opponent when they did hit me for messing up. That's valid reframing right there. I don't think that was a lie. Now, if I ask my true preference, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of annoyed I got hit out of my tournament. But, like, that doesn't make the other thing a lie. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I'm talking to these top players and we're trying to help them work on things that they don't find interesting, half of it is reframing. And then the other half is having a plan. And I pretty much always tell people that if you do not find something interesting, there's a chance you genuinely understand it and don't find it interesting. But more often than not, if I gave you a task to do, you would be able to focus on that task. So again, let me give you an example. Peach shield camping fox in the corner. Annoying as shit. I hate that shit. But if you told me, here's your task. Stand at this range and laser her so that she has to move out of shield because otherwise she'll, her shield will get too low, right?
Yeah.
And then she'll take damage and you'll go back to playing. That was something Leffen told me once. Now that is a task. And when we're talking about boring and interesting, if you give someone a task to do that they can focus on, they won't be bored. They'll find it interesting. So someone maybe hates some matchup and we're talking, and I'm like, hey, instead of thinking about what to do here, let me give you a task to do, put your energy into that task, and then you'll be able to kind of not have to worry about the situation. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick,
so I would
actually.
say, yeah, I'm glad. Yeah. So it's half reframing and half understanding better what tasks to be doing. And if you reframe well and you have active tasks, it helps a lot with that. That's kind of my answer, I guess.
I got one more question on that, and then we'll move on to some other things. You said like a truth, like a golden kernel right there. It was like believing in myself allowed me to give props to the guy for doing the right option. And so it's almost like a win-win where you believe in yourself and you're also like giving respect to the homie. And that's definitely something I feel like is needed, especially in the days of net play and stuff like that, where it's so
100%.
easy to not respect your opponent. What do you feel like there's a balance though that needs to be between like respecting your opponent and like saying, but I'm still better? Like what is your take on respecting the opponent, I guess, in terms of competition?
Also, this is for me personally. I can't speak for anyone else, but for me personally, I have no thoughts about who is better once we sit down to play the set. I always tell people, in fact, when I sit down to play a round one pools match, I don't think I'm better than my opponent. Like, so right now, if you're talking to me, hey, Sammy, are you better than your round one opponent? I say yes.
Yeah.
But the moment I sit in that chair, that all is blank slate for me. All I care about is whatever happens on the screen is about to happen, and no one in the whole world knows what's about to happen right now. Literally. I could SD 4 times right now. We don't know. So, yeah, in terms of respecting my opponent, for me, I genuinely have no perception of either of our skill levels once the set is happening. I don't think about any of that at all. And I think that's, to me, that's a great way to do it. Um,
I like
but
that.
that's much easier done in tournament than on net play, you know? Yeah, much different, I would say.
Let's move on a little bit because there's so much stuff to touch on, and I don't
Sure,
want to
sure.
take too much of your time. 2017 was your last like real run for tournaments,
Hmm.
and then you decided to
Yep.
call it a day. I think it's something I'm always interested in players who know, like, all right, this is it for me in terms of competing, especially someone like you who, obviously has a lot of drive in competition, who enjoys it. What were some of the things, and they don't have to be too personal or anything, but what were some of the things that let you know, like, hey, it's time to transition away from this medium?
That's a good question. I think there's a lot of factors here. One of them is the thing I told you about understanding what it means to win a tournament or be the best
Mm-hmm.
is something that from 2015 to 2017, I think that's when I learned that for real. Like I had ideas. Like I said, I put my dipped my toe in the water in those previous years. But those 3 years, I like found out what it meant. I found out what it all those things I described earlier about what it means to be the best. So one, I just understood it better. I felt like I gave it a real shot, and I found out I did not like it. um, a big part of my drive was just I liked Melee so much that I wanted it to be the thing that I made my living off of. That was
Mm-hmm.
my true drive. So being the best was just my way of being like, well, if I was hypothetically the best player, I could live off of Melee. That was my true goal. My true goal was that I love Melee more than anything. I want to make it my career. And the only way I knew to do that at the time was by trying to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I simultaneously, one, realized that I did not personally value the things required to be the best. Two, I realized there was another way to make a living off of Melee, which is what I actually wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know you said it doesn't have to be too personal, but like I was going through like a bunch of stuff at the time, and like 2017 was like the peak of it. It was like the worst. Funnily, you're from Michigan, right? Funnily
Yeah.
enough, downfall, if you remember that tournament. Um,
Mm.
I won that tournament. It was May of 2017. It was like 2 or 3 weeks after Royal Flush.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had just gone through some really bad personal stuff, and I remember I got there and I was hanging out with like Avery and Kalindi and stuff. And they're like, "Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you." And I was just like, "So," they're like, "You want to play friendlies?" I was like, "I guess." And I just like rolled over and just like everyone was just three stocking me. I wasn't like doing anything. I was like, it was a very bad time for me, and I clutched up and won the tournament anyway. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
Um, and again, that's what that I wouldn't have been able to win that tournament 3 years prior. I would have just been done. So to my credit, I learned a lot about what it means to like be able to power through and win anyway, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I think that was a moment for me where I was like, I was really going through it. So pretty much from that point onwards, right after Royal Flush, for the rest of that year, was me fighting demons of knowing that Melee wasn't giving me what I wanted, and at the same time going through a lot of personal stuff that was making me very depressed. And it was like, this is too much. By the end of the year, I kind of slugged through the rest of the year. I did horrible second half of that year.
Mm.
It was really bad. First half of the year, I was kind of cooking. Second half, just the worst. And at the end of it, I was like, I can't do this to myself anymore. I can't watch myself play bad for all these reasons. Like I was just a shell of myself, losing to anyone. And I was like, I mean, I say anyone, but it was like top 20 players. But for
Yeah.
me, it was like, I'm losing to anyone right now. Like, I normally would beat this guy. And it was just like, yeah, this sucks. And I had a moment, year ends, and I'm like, wait, I don't have to do this to myself anymore. It was like a kindness to myself. I was like, I don't feel like I have anything to prove. I'm not getting anything out of this. This isn't what I want. And I think I can maybe make a living off Melee anyway. So I was like, what if I just teach instead? And I remember talking to my parents and being like, hey, kind of going to stop competing. And they were like, well, are you going to look for a job? And I was like, I think I'm going to try to do this instead. And, talked to a bunch of people, got a bunch of ideas. And that was kind of my transition out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Like you said, you're a coach now.
Yep.
First, if you want to plug where they can find you, you know what I mean? Like, make a little Skrilla off of this. Please be my guest.
All right, real quick. I mean, you can find me at patreon.com/Druggedfox. My Twitter is also Druggedfox. My YouTube is also Druggedfox. Everything is under that name. And I mean, if nothing else, I gotta say, for $5 a month, you have access to over 1,000 videos of lessons with every skill level of every player in almost every matchup. And I feel like there is no other resource in Melee like that. You can watch me coach Zane on Marshik, and you can watch me coach an 0 Tour on Marshik. And I feel like there's nowhere else where you could get that for $5. So
Just go sign
that's
up.
all I
Just
got.
go buy it. Subscribe to the YouTube. Do all that shit, y'all. It's worth it
Yeah.
if you care even a lick about the game. But let's talk about coaching a little bit. What was some of the things that drew you to becoming a coach? Because it's definitely for a certain type of person. I feel like, especially to be a
Yeah.
great coach. You know.
Thank you. No, I mean, I think you're completely right. I love your questions, man. And yeah, I mean, I think I've just been a teacher type my whole life. I'll be honest. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I think back, whole life, like I was the kid in class where like I was like helping two kids with their homework at the same time in class. They're like, I don't understand that question. I was like, I got you, and I would do mine in like 5 seconds. Then I'd be like, all right, let me go help y'all. I don't know if this is a factor, but my dad is also a professor.
Mm.
Also, my mom taught me like everything I know, honestly. She like while my dad was busy teaching at school and that was kind of his personality, my mom would teach me a lot of like school stuff and I think I valued that a lot. So I
Mm.
think it's just always kind of been it's in my blood, you know, you could say. It's my personality type. Um I was, you know, being self-taught also for like a lot of like melee stuff. Like I think that helped a lot. And I got to college and it's like I'm teaching all these new kids how to play melee. I was teaching all these new fighting game players how to play Marvel. Like it's just been my whole life. There's been no point where I'm not helping people learn things, whether it be in or out of melee. You know, also like a lot of friends will come to me talk about their personal problems. It just felt like this whole like giving advice, being a therapist, teaching people how to like do things. That's just been there for as long as I can remember. So I think it felt like a very natural thing for me.
Now, when you become like a coach and like a teacher of the game, there's no like you didn't go to like teaching school. I don't know what you studied
Yep.
at Georgia Tech, but you know
I
maybe
studied computer science.
okay.
Yeah,
So unless if you TA'd or something, you probably you
yeah,
know what I mean. This is like your first real foray into teaching
yeah,
into
yeah. Yep.
coaching. What were some of the lessons that you had to learn to be more of an effective coach and teacher?
It's a good question. I think the main things I learned didn't actually have to do that much with the teaching part, but it had to do with how I was teaching the melee itself.
Mm.
Because, like I said, I felt like I already had a lot of experience doing the teaching. Even within melee, I've probably, before I ever taught, I'd probably helped like hundreds of people, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I had a pretty good idea of like, because the teaching part is like, I have to understand the different personalities, their different goals, how to talk to different people and get them to click, you know? That was all stuff I felt like I had a lot of social experience with already. So I actually feel like the main thing I learned is how to structure melee improvement in a more academic way.
Mm.
Because I had all these ideas floating around in my head, but I'd never put pen to paper and been like, this is how you think about melee. Like I'd never done that before. So I think for me, that was probably the biggest thing I learned was less about the teaching and more about how do we structure melee academically. Like now that I've done it for 7 years, I could write a textbook on it, like a literal book, like that's like this is how you think about this. This is how you think about this. If you want to be good at this, here are the different things you have to know. And I think that was like probably the biggest thing for me is formalizing it.
How much of the coaching, like, do you still have to like study up? Like, are you like watching VODs? Are you doing like a lot of review and stuff like that in order to like understand the current meta of the game, at least for those high, you know, high top players? Or is it more just like the game is still the game?
I mean, you probably already know, but the game is the game. I can't say I've like really had to study on my own time. Now, I will say, doing the lessons is kind of a form of studying up because, like, you know, let's say I do 2 hours a day or something. Let's say I've given two lessons that day. Do that 365 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, looking at about 800 hours or so, like minimum 800 hours that year. You know, you put that over 7 years, well, you end up with 5, 6,000 hours of melee. So like, I mean, I did like I've been with the meta step by step for the last 7 years. Like most people can't say they've looked at melee for the last 5, 6,000 hours outside of even playing. Most
Yeah.
people, like some people, haven't even played that many hours. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't say I didn't study up because I feel like that would be untrue in the sense that I've been watching every day, you know? So I've learned a couple things along the way, but there's been nothing like drastic. Like the game is the game. It has rules. We understand the rules, and the same rules that applied 20 years ago apply today. It's just maybe people understand them better on average than they used to. You know what I mean?
As someone who then has studied the game for that long and through a whole breadth of different types of players and personalities, right? What are some of the changes? And like you said, the game is the game. But what are some of the maybe the small changes that you've seen that interest you as a melee player and a melee coach?
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I have a couple things, I guess, and I have been thinking about this a lot, so I'm glad you asked. Um, so I feel that unfortunately, a lot of the changes have to do with the nature of controller. I do feel that way. UCF controllers,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. It changes how people play. I don't care what anyone says about what they can and can't do on an OEM, whatever, all that nonsense. I don't care. The reality is that right now, part of the reason people make the decisions they do is because of the peripherals and the mods and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one thing. Um, and I would say, regardless of whether or not this is better or worse, something I have found watching Modern Melee. So if I compare like when I played like 2017ish to now, I feel that people play less neutral and are more scrappy. And I
Mm.
don't say that in a bad way at all. It's just what people gravitate to is very, very different. I remember I was watching with Crudo, we were watching me versus Ice from that tipped off 11 run. And he was like, man, y'all are like really playing like some neutral. Like if I was playing now, the Fox would just be next to me right now. Like he would just be next to me. There
Yeah.
would be no like. There's a lot less feeling each other out in neutral, and I think that's a big product of like people's execution is really good. They've practiced a lot of situations, you know, an Uncle Punch, blah blah blah. Controllers let you execute really well too. I mean, it's all these things, and I think when you have a lot of confidence in all those things, you're more likely to want to get next to your opponent and be like, hey, whose punish game is better? Whose out of shield game is better? Whose reactions are better? It's like it's almost I would say melee in a funny way is it's in a more physical era, so to speak.
I get what you're saying there. You know,
Yeah, right now it's the most physical it's ever been.
that's interesting to me because like just someone like I would think because the execution and because the punish game is so brutal right now that would make it so that people are like way more neutral. Like I'm not going in, but it's funny that you say like it's sort of the opposite. Like
It is the opposite. Everyone's just down to scrap. I think it's just kind of pride. Like people are just down to be like, I'm good at this. Also, they understand what they're looking for. So like I will say this is another thing with people understanding the mix-ups better and like the flowcharts. It's like when you know what you're looking for, it's a lot easier to just go and do it. You don't need to kind of like feel it out and be like, well, am I going to try to outplay him here? Here, people are like, I'm just going to go do it. I know what I'm looking for. I'm going to go get it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I don't think that's bad or good. It is really different though. Really, really different vibes.
Do you think
I
that a
Yeah.
player who focuses on neutral, like, do you feel like it's if everyone's playing in this quote unquote physical way, do you feel like it's a detriment or do you feel like it could be an advantage if you sort of break the mold on that? What are your thoughts there?
Depends how good you are at it. I think if you play someone who, you know, if you I mean, you still have to be able to keep up on the physical level. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can, I think it could be a very huge positive, but I do tend to find that people who tell me that they're very neutral focused are almost always a lot worse off for it because of the thing I told you earlier about people working on what they find interesting. Every neutral focused player I've ever met, that's code word for they're ignoring 90% of melee.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I care about my neutral. I love PPMD's dash dance. And then I'm like, you dropped this combo, you dropped this combo, you didn't know what to do when you CC'd Cheeks Fair, you dropped this edge guard, you were bad out of shield. And I'm like, look, man, the neutral is only 5 to 10% of the game. Now, at the top level, like when I was playing back then, it was like, yeah, I could make that 10% matter more, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can always make it matter, but 90% of melee is not neutral. It's all the other stuff. And people are the best they've ever been at the other stuff. I will say that.
Mm.
But that doesn't mean you don't have to do the other parts. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like the top players today have bad neutral. It's just they don't want to play it for prolonged periods. Like Zane's neutral is great, Cody's neutral is great, Moki's neutral is great. But I went and watched Cody versus Moki actually recently. It was the Fox Ditto. I don't know if you remember this, but Cody and Moki were both like, "This is the greatest Fox Ditto anyone's ever played in tournament." It
Yeah,
was
I
like
saw that. Yeah.
Genesis 2 years ago, 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
watched it back,
It was
and
hype.
yeah, it was really high, and
Yeah.
it was really good too. I
Yeah.
do think it was a really high level set, and they are both great at neutral, but they spent almost the entire set right here.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's good or bad,
Yeah.
but just it creates a very, very different vibe than like I told you about me playing Sheik versus Ice. We're like playing kind of far away. We're like playing footsies more, trying to get someone to see what they'll bite on. And Cody's like, I already know what I think you're gonna do. I'm gonna run over to you. I'm gonna get a reaction out of you, and then we're gonna start scrapping. And they're gonna get their reads, and they're really good at making those reads. It's just how much you want to prolong that part of the game is it's a personal choice, you know.
Yeah. It is interesting that you say that because I do agree with you like 100%. Like the first thing, so I interviewed Ty before I interviewed you, and I was watching a little
Oh,
bit of
hell
his
yeah.
sets.
I love Ty.
Yeah, he's a homie. It was a great interview. Shout out Ty. Shout out Arizona. Honestly, there's some homies out there. But I was watching some of his sets from earlier, and I was like, man, this looks so like it's always good to go back and be like, this looks different because everyone was just farther away from each other. Like this is how it was.
Yeah,
And I was
agree.
like, I feel like it really affects Marth in a different way too because he plays Marth. But
Yep.
anyways, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, there are so many incredible videos that you can watch at his Patreon. Go check it out, y'all. I don't want to, talk about the melee stuff too because I don't want to sell any of the secrets for free. You know what I'm saying?
No, we can talk. Yeah. But...
Well, I do want to touch a little bit on because we're running out of time a little bit. We got like maybe 20 minutes left, hopefully. So I want to touch on some of the Street Fighter stuff. Now, before I get into it, I want to say personally, I can do in a Hadouken and that's it. You know what I'm saying? If I'm lucky, maybe a Shoryuken.
Let's go.
So I'm not, the biggest Street, but I do watch it. And I remember
Hell yeah.
randomly, this was how I found out that you were playing, is that randomly on Twitter, I just said like, "Yo, is Druggedfox playing Punk right now?" Like, I just saw like some. I was like, "The hell is going on here?" I didn't even know that you played. So, can you break down what made you say like, "Yo, I want to get into it a little bit and play competitively Street Fighter 6?"
Yeah. I mean, I played fighting games casually my whole life, also.
Mm-hmm.
So side by side with Melee competitively, I was playing like when I was in Savannah, I was playing Marvel 2, I was playing Street Fighter 4, I was playing Blaze Blue. I wasn't good, but I played it. Then around again 2011 or so, Marvel 3 came out. It was my first time playing fighting games competitively.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time I was playing Melee competitively, I started learning fighting games competitively too. So this is not like new. Street Fighter 6 wasn't new. It's like I was like one of the best Marvel 3 players in Georgia. Like I mean, I taught like half the scene how to play. This was my thing, just as much as Melee was my thing. Um, but then I played Street Fighter 5 for about 6 months or something around season 4. And I thought it was cool, but I could not do the online, man. It was way too bad.
Yeah, I heard it's really bad.
It was bad,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really feeling it. They started nerfing my character. I played Akuma.
Mm.
I was like, bro, I ain't doing these patches and this shitty online. I'm done.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6 comes out. I was like, I'm down to give it another try. This is a new big game. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite games.
Really?
Super amazing. Yeah, I love Street Fighter 6. Such a cool game. I love Cammy. Perfect character for me. So that was it for me. I loved it. I'd already played fighting games competitively, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna learn this game. And that was pretty much it. I learned the game. I played a lot. Like I said, I like Cammy a lot. I had a squad I played with a little bit. And I put in a lot of time in that first. I probably played it for about a year and 3 months ish. And I put 3,000 hours in that 1.3 years or so.
Damn.
So I put in some time.
Respect.
So yeah, I played Street Fighter. I was like, I'll enter some tournaments. Why not? Because like I told you earlier, it's not that I hate competition inherently. It's just not necessarily trying to do the grind of maybe I would have been better at Street Fighter if I entered 5 online tournaments every week like Punk does. But I was like, I'm not trying to do that. I just went and got food with my friends and went and hung out. We did our thing. And I grind on my own time, but I can't do the tournament grind like that. But that's kind of the basics. I don't know if you have anything else you want to know, but that's where I was at with Street Fighter.
Well, I would love to know as someone who's a little bit ignorant. So, I mean, I know sort of like the fighting game community just from being a TO and back in Montana, we were just if you have a game that's 1v1, you could just come and play. So it was Melee, Street Fighter, Marvel, all
Right,
the Marvel
right.
homies, by the way. Shout out.
Oh, hell yeah.
All the homies in the FGC were Marvel players. I have to say that it's the coolest
Yeah, I mean, I
community.
love the Marvel scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But can you break down a little bit, like, just in terms of gameplay? Like, do you feel like there are any similar? What are the main similarities and main differences from going from like Melee to like a true fighting game like Street Fighter?
Yeah, well, like Street Fighter, a bit different than like the more anime style games, but I mean, there's a lot of similarities. I feel like playing mix-ups is pretty similar. I mean, they look different in Melee than they do in Street Fighter, but you have to guess. You play mix-ups, the way you confirm what you're looking for, how you balance your mental stack, and you're like, all right, I'm really looking for this option, but if he does this instead, I need a good backup plan. Kind of like how you play footsies and spacing is pretty similar. I would say probably the biggest difference to me is just that like this is a very philosophical, personal thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I find that when you play Melee, there's a big part of why I don't like competing in Melee. I think trying to do the best possible thing every time is only like 5 to 10% better than doing something a little bit easier that you'll never mess up. And I've personally never like I always want the hardest thing to be the best thing. I want them to be very 1 to 1.
Yeah.
And I've always found that in Melee, I'm only getting a 5 to 10% return on doing this much harder thing.
Mm-hmm.
While in Street Fighter, because I mean, admittedly, because the execution's lower, I mean, almost even the harder fighting games. I mean, Melee's got like obviously some of the hardest execution of all time in any game. It's just like doing the best thing always felt a little bit more like executable and rewarding. And for me personally, that was something that like made me want to play it a lot more. I mean, maybe I'm just old now, but I was kind of like, yeah, this is nice, you know.
No, I
Um,
get that. Trust me. My execution's bad in Melee, so I totally understand that a little bit. Where I'm just like,
yeah,
damn, dude, like I gotta work so hard just to hit this thing, and then I gotta miss it
yep,
again.
yep. And then you miss it, and it's like maybe you should just do something easier. I don't know.
I'm shield
There's a whole
grabbing.
thing.
Fuck this, you know.
Yeah, yeah, fuck it. Like I'm just doing it. But yeah, I mean, I think all the major things that make you a good melee player make you a good Street Fighter player. You gotta have good situational awareness, good spacing. You gotta confirm your reactions, play mix-ups, all that stuff. I mean, it's the same stuff. Like I don't really feel like there's any difference there. You just have to learn to recognize the context where your similar skills apply.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of knowledge. And that is why I dumped that 3,000 hours in because I was like, look, I've never really played a Street Fighter game at a competitive level before. So I had to put in the time to make all those connections, I think. But now that I've done it, I feel like, I know what's going on.
Can I ask you a question? It would be my last Street Fighter question on the depth of the game. So again, this is from someone who does not play Street Fighter in any meaningful sense, right?
Sure.
I've as someone who does watch it though, I feel like I wouldn't say a lack of depth, but the fact that the other player can't DI makes it so like it's a lot more like string. Like okay, I hit this. Okay, I know exactly XYZ. Da da da. I'm
Sure,
doing
sure,
this
sure,
right,
sure.
and I'm getting this much damage, or I'm getting the knockdown, or whatever. Right?
Yep.
Do you feel like that aspect leaves something? Does it bring
Not for
more
me at
depth
all.
in? Okay.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't mind DI. I know some people who play fighting games are kind of DI haters. Like, I
Yeah.
know a lot of Smashers who switch to FGC who are like, I don't fuck with DI. For me, it's like the same. To me, once you get your hit, that's just punish game. DI is a part of punish game. Doing a combo is punish game. But to me, any depth difference has nothing to do with that. Because, like, once I hit you, it's just like, I just hit you. Like,
Word.
I should just do my combo. Like, when I tech chase you with Sheik, that should be the same as me doing a combo. I mean, I do mess it up a lot. But, like, that just kind of pisses me off that I mess it up. It doesn't like add depth to it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That does make sense. Totally.
Yeah. I do feel like there are other things that Melee does have more depth on, but that's not really a diss on fighting games. That's just like Melee has an absurd amount of situational depth that you can access.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying everyone's accessing it. Like 95% of people who play Melee are not accessing the depth difference between Melee and Street Fighter. Like, So for all intents and purposes, I feel like the games are pretty similar in terms of that. But I do think there are some things you could do in Melee that I don't know if you can do in any other game, obviously, with the amount of depth involved. But
Yeah.
that's part, why we all love Melee, that even if people aren't accessing it, you see it sometimes or hear about it. And that's awesome. You see some top player do some really crazy thing and you're like, oh my god, like this is why I still play the game.
I want to actually ask you. This is before we get into some of your hobbies and interests outside of gaming. This is a little bit of a left field question, but I would love to hear your
Yeah,
take on it. What do you think in terms of? I don't know if you heard like these AI bots, like in terms of like Philip or the.
I've played Philip a
Okay,
lot
you.
lately.
What is your
Yeah.
thoughts on that, and how do you feel like it's gonna change the landscape, not just in melee, but in teaching melee, like having an AI thing that you can just train against all the time? Do you feel like it's gonna change
Uh,
things a lot? Do you feel like we've already sort of gone over that hump with like 20XX and Slippy and Uncle Punch? What are your thoughts?
I think it could be good for people to get practice when they might not otherwise have it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not everyone has a good Sheik player, a good Marth player, a good Fox player, all accessible. So in that way, yeah, I think it makes a big difference. Um, but outside of that, I mean, I think the bots are really cool. I really like them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're my homies, honestly. I watch him play, and I'm like, yo, that was slick, Philip. That was slick. I like what they do. They're really cool. I mean, sometimes I don't like what they're doing. Kind of depends. It depends how they're trained, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when the Fox Phillip fights Falco, I hate how he plays. I think he sucks at the matchup, but he's a freaking task bot. So he just like task bots you to death with no spirit, no love, and I don't like that. But when I played it with Marth versus his Fox, I was kind of like, okay, I see you. You're like thinking about something, you know? I mean, obviously it's a bot, but like in terms of how I experience it, that's kind of how it feels. So,
Yeah.
um, I've been fighting Philip. There's a doubles version of Philip. I've
Oh,
been fighting
really?
that like, yeah. There's
Is it
someone
two
else's run.
Phillips or is it like one Phillip, one player?
It could be either one. It could be two
Oh,
Phillips. It could be one
okay.
Philip. It's not like an official or public thing, but I know someone working on it. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been like playing against the doubles Philip a lot. It's so awesome, man. It's awesome,
That's sick. I respect,
especially
cause
for doubles, because you can't always find four
yeah,
people who want to play. You know?
definitely. Actually, I totally see that. Cause I'm coming from like almost the chess angle, cause I play a little bit of chess, and I'm like,
Oh hell yeah.
man, like these bots, like sort of. I mean, I like obviously it's awesome to know exact like what's the best plan, and seeing the bots
Yes.
go against each
Yes.
other. But I'm like, damn, like this sort of fucks it up for the player experience a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, I get you. From a chess perspective, I mean, I do like the idea of learning ideas from the bot. Like the guy XPilot who's working on Falco right now,
Yeah.
he just got like a bunch of files for Falco, and like from like that perspective of like having an engine, I really want to see how Philip Falco plays. I feel like I'll learn something from it genuinely,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really excited for that. Like the moment Philip Falco drops, I want to watch it play. I'm gonna learn something from it. So I definitely get what you mean about that chess comparison because I feel similarly.
I forgot to ask you this question. I said it was gonna be
Sure.
the
No, no, it's
hobbies and
okay.
interests.
Ask.
I do because you had this point where you're like you could see influences of me when you watch Melee now. I 100% agree, right? But one of the things for newer players that might not realize is that you played a lot of different characters, and that's one of the reasons why you could see that
Yes.
influence. Was there's what drew you to play? Because there's I feel like you have an analytical brain. You can be like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do XYZ, and it seems so much easier to do that with just one character. Like why and you were incredible with Sheik, Marth, Fox, Falco. You had a Falcon too. Like what made you like want to test out was it just the love of the game? Was it
It
interest?
really is,
Yeah.
man. Love of the game. I love all the characters. I don't view myself as like if you ask me who I main, I literally don't have an answer. I don't feel that I have a main. Uh, yeah, I just love the game. All the characters are so cool. I'll just do whatever, and they're like, shouldn't you just like? Also, when I played, I would often only play one character at a time in tournament
Yeah.
because I just thought it was cooler to do that, and I had more fun with it. And people were like, "What? Well, why doesn't he just play Sheik in this matchup? He'll just win." And I was like, "Oh no, I want to play Fox." And going back to that being the best thing, it's like maybe I should have picked Sheik versus Wizzy instead of Fox. My Fox didn't beat him that much, and my Sheik did. But if you ask me, it's hard for me to say in good faith I want to be the best when I'm making the wrong character choices. So it's like I don't know. I'm trying my best, and it's almost the competitive part of me that wants to win with the character I'm currently playing.
Hmm.
I wanted to beat him with Fox more than I wanted to beat him with Sheik. I was like, I don't give a fuck about doing it with Sheik.
Yeah.
I want to do it with Fox. So yeah, I don't know. I just love the game. I love all the characters. I love Fox, Falco, Marshik. Falcon's awesome. Peach is awesome. Samus is all. I'll pick any character. They're all so cool. I wish I could play Yoshi. Yoshi's the only character I don't know how to play because he has different tech skill. I wish I knew how to play Yoshi, man. It would be so awesome.
It's like
But
speaking
I'm
a
not gonna
different
go learn it
language.
now.
It's too hard. It's too hard. There was a part of me when I like way back when I first saw like Amstar or whatever. I was like, "Yo, Yoshi's so sick." And then I tried it for like maybe 2-3 days. I'm like, "You got it, Amsa. You got it,
Yeah,
bro."
you got it, dude. I'm just so sick.
He's the
So yeah,
craziest player in Melee. I feel like. I mean,
he's so
he's
sick.
so crazy. But let's talk about some things outside of the screen, right? So you talked
Sure.
to me about some sports. I mean, are you still playing sports? What are some of the hobbies and interests that you do outside of video games?
Yeah, I mean, I would say nowadays it is very video game oriented.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always melee. I mean, I don't. It's funny since this past Genesis, I've been playing melee almost every day. Like this is a
Really?
very yeah, this is a very new thing. I normally don't play melee like at all.
Yeah.
Like when people ask me, they're like, "Oh, you still play it?" I was like, I really don't play. This is like new. So for the last like 7 years, melee has not really been it for me. I have played a lot of games. I mean, I played a lot of League, played Marvel Rivals when it came out, played Overwatch, like played Street Fighter. I'm kind of like I just like play a ton of. They're all like PvP competitive games,
Yeah.
but like I have to scratch that itch somehow. So if I'm not entering melee tournaments, like that's like I need to do that first of all. So I would say that's the biggest thing I do with my time if I'm being totally honest. In terms of doing other things, I would love to play piano again, but I don't have a piano, so it's like it's a tough thing for me. I actually recently went to a piano store. I was thinking about buying one, so it's like
Really?
yeah, it's like I do want to like I care a lot about classical piano. Um, so it's something that I always say that there will be a time in my life I do it again. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
And right now I'm playing a lot of Falco and having fun with Melee, like not to get better, just to have fun. So it's
Yeah.
like now is not that time. I've been reading a little bit. I haven't read since I was in high school, but like this past year, like some of my friends have been like, "Oh yeah, I'm reading this a ton. You should try it." So I've been trying to do some other stuff. I've been reading some. Uh, I want to get back into music. What's it called? I was watching Blue Lock, and it reminded me that I don't know if you know the anime, but it's like a
No.
soccer anime. It's an anime about soccer,
Word.
and
Okay.
yeah, I was watching it, and I like had a lot of memories from playing,
Mm-hmm.
and it got me to like I got a soccer ball, and I went out and played a bit. I haven't been playing like a ton, but like that is the kind of stuff I've been thinking about, like kind of as I get older. Like I said, I'm 32 now,
Yeah.
and it's like once you hit that like I'm not saying you can't be physical when you're older, but like when I'm 40, my body is not going to work the same as when I'm
No.
32.
Yeah.
It's just not, right?
Yeah.
Objectively. So I've kind of been thinking like I am on a bit of a timer and I've been looking for fields to play on. I was like, hey, maybe, this is something that was unfulfilled from like when I was younger. And it's like I've been thinking about doing that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's like a lot of stuff I've been dipping my toe into the pool type of thing. Like I said earlier, like a little bit of reading, a little bit of soccer. I'm trying some stuff, a little bit of music here and there. But like most of my time right now is definitely playing games because
Yeah.
I still have that competitive itch and I'm already like good at it. Like I love learning new things, but it's like I'm already pretty good at this. It's like I'm excited for 2XKO to come out. I really, really want to play it. I'm like part of the reason I stopped playing Street Fighter is because I missed air dashing. Like I'm a Marvel 3 player, man.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
air dash. That's my best fighting game, Marvel 3. So it's like 2XKO comes out, I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play. There's a Hunter x Hunter fighting game, so it's like I would say right now, hobbies wise, it's like my brain is still very like I still want to play some fighting games. I still want to like be PvP, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But the other stuff is there too. It's just kind of like deciding how much I want to balance it. Like maybe I want to get back into the gym. I used to work out a ton, but then like had a lot of physical issues. So it's like one of my goals definitely this year is like I want to get back in the gym and like be physical. Like I think being physical is something really that I do value a lot. It's just gaming is something so far from that it's like hard to balance both. I would say.
Definitely. Definitely. I definitely feel you on some of the sports stuff because so I used to do track in the NCAA or whatever and
Oh, that's it.
well I was pretty bad at it honestly and I quit so
Yeah,
it
but
was
it's so
like
cool.
yeah thank you I appreciate that and so like I quit and then I was just like done with a lot of like I was still playing melee so I was still getting the itch that way played like poker and CS and all that so I was still getting like competitive but I didn't
Yep.
have that physical side of competition and so I joined like a little like co-ed like soccer league or whatever.
Oh my god, that
It
sounds
was
awesome.
so fun. Like, I mean, people took it a little too seriously, honestly. I was like, people were yelling at the refs and stuff. I was like, come on, man.
That's crazy.
I know, but but like, so I sort of feel what you're saying. Like, it definitely
When did
added.
you do this?
Uh, it was like right. after COVID. So like just
Okay,
when they
yeah,
left.
yeah,
So
a
like
couple years ago.
2022, 20, yeah.
Sure.
So it was
But
like,
yeah, like I kind of want to do something like that. Like what you're saying, I kind of want to go find like a co-ed league, kind of get back to playing, and like just see what I can do with the game. Cause like I feel like my brain is more aware of a lot of things, and I can be smarter. I know how to practice things in a way that like when I was a kid I probably didn't. I grinded a lot when I was younger. Like oh my
yeah.
god, I would spend hours practicing. But it's like having that more directed older view and like going and finding some people to play with. Yeah, I think that's something I would want to do in the next like year or two. I think the older I get, the more I can view my life in terms of, when you're younger and someone's like, what do you see yourself as in 5 years? It's like, I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
15. I guess I'll be in college, or I'm in college. I guess I'll have a job. But like now that I'm like I'm an adult, like I'm out of school. I haven't thought about school in 10 years. Like I literally graduated in 2014. So it's like when I can actually start thinking about my life of like where do I see myself 5 years from now? And it's like, sometime in the next 5 years or so, yeah, kind of want to get back in the gym, play some sports. Reading more has been really cool. Um, and I do see myself still playing competitive games. I mean, I don't think that'll ever go away. And hopefully, I pray that I see myself still teaching. I hope that never goes away. As long as Melee doesn't die and there are people who want to learn, I will be here for that.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's a perfect place to end there. I could ask you questions from here to next week, honestly, but it's been super enjoyable. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you having me. I know you messaged me a long time ago to hop on, and I'm glad I was able to do it this time.
No, no worries. I mean, yeah, this is such like a nonchalant little interview. Like if you watch the other ones, man, like you'll see like it always comes together. So don't even worry about it. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely get it. I get it, and I'm really glad we are able to do it. It's always fun to get to talk about things you've been thinking about in your life, and having someone who can ask the right questions is always cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, this has been Items On. Our guest today was Druggedfox. Thank you so much for listening, and take it easy, everybody.